We're good. Excited as always. You know, everybody's excited about the first day and the players and getting back out there. And the real part of our life as coaches, selfishly, is to be out there with the players and watch them and just see the changes that everybody's made. There's not any news on quarterback, obviously. If there was, and if there is during the next week or so, I'll certainly let you know. I know you guys. Some of your bosses probably said you have to ask anyway, but so I'm just helping y'all out. There's nothing that would happen between last week and now. Obviously, we haven't practiced. They're all out there and they're doing good. And it should be a while before we know what direction we're going to go there. And as soon as we know, we'll certainly let you guys know. But other than that, there's a lot of excitement, and it's just fun for me to be out there. Excited about our staff and everybody. And the weather was good, had some good heat, so we got some good work done today.
I know there's freshmen, but you've also got a couple of grad transfers that you may not have seen on the field yet. Jordan McRae and then also Kyle Jr. You make a point of going over just to kind of check them out pretty good?
Yeah, it looked like they were doing fine. I see Jordan more, obviously, because he's running routes, and Junior's kind of in his role there in the defensive line. But we need those guys to fit in and understand early. We need depth at those positions, and so we're excited to have them. And they worked this summer. And EJ missed a few weeks, and he was sick for a while, but he's getting back into it. Passed his conditioning test this morning, and so we're excited about him being out there.
With Drew and Spencer, how do each of those guys show leadership out there?
Oh, I think they just have to be themselves. You can never be anything different than who you are. It doesn't work in what we do every day. And I think it's important for them just to go out and play hard. And when we're in conditioning, to run hard. Just typical leadership.
I'm sure you saw the videos that went out on Cowboy Football on Twitter on the two quarterbacks.
Did not see
You did not see them. Sean Gleason, they were good, and Gleason said he thought they were accurate references to what the two guys are like.
Yeah, we tried to, our media staff and Orange Power Studios, they do a great job of, I think that we're on the cutting edge in a lot of things. And so in the last 6 weeks or so, I know they came up with some guys they wanted to be able to put out there so y'all can get a feel for them, since those guys, especially, everybody wants to know about the quarterbacks. And I trust them, and honestly, it's not something that's done in advance and scripted, and that's how I know, because I hadn't seen it myself. I probably need to look at it, but I heard that both guys did a good job and were very honest.
How do they feed off each other in practice?
Oh, just competition. I'm guessing. When I was in those situations, I can only reflect back that you would want to compete. Everybody wants to play, and so that's part of it. But it's in a unique position from the standpoint that you need to learn from each other, but also compete.
Coach Gleason said he wanted the battle to be like a dogfight. Did you get any feel for that, any sort of intensity to it?
Oh, I think they're intense. I think both those guys are intense. And what he's looking for is he wants guys to fight and compete for a position, because that competitiveness should translate to playing in game day.
Youngster at that spotlight. How's he doing? What's his learning curve like right now?
Costello,
Yeah.
He's doing good. He doesn't get as many reps, further behind. His body's not as mature. If he was in a position to play this year, it would be from unfortunate things happening as we look at it right now. But that's the way it is at that position in most cases. It is for us. Most guys that come in when they're young like that are further behind. And he's done well. His body's changed a little bit. He's learning, but he moves really fast for those young guys.
You mentioned that DeAndre Glass could play in the spring if he came ready. How did you see
Who's that?
DeAndre Glass?
I don't. He's not. He's got a ways just to get into the 3 deep right now, or 4 deep. He's a good talent. We like what he's done, but there's guys ahead of him whose bodies are completely different than his. Their physical condition is completely different than his, and just their maturity at this point. So he's just a young player right now, and he's a little further down the line.
Hey, Coach, all throughout the summer you talked about, discipline as being one of the things, and today you guys have the Win with Discipline shirts, the entire coaching staff. How important is that for your players to just kind of see that visual representation of what you guys are trying to do this season?
Yeah, we've talked about the discipline from the end of the bowl game all the way through up until today, and so it's an important part of what we do. And it's where I felt like I was deficient, which circles down to the coaches and then the players, and then we become an undisciplined football team. So that's essentially not controlling what we can control, and those are things we talk about a lot here. If we play a really good team and they beat us, but we don't want to get in the game. We want to make them beat us. If you're undisciplined, in most cases you can give games away. So we're working as hard as we can to be the most disciplined team as possible.
Casey Dunn mentioned earlier this week that the next big step he wants to see from Thailand is in leadership. How difficult is that to try to get a leadership role from your wide receiver rather than that kind of quarterback?
He's been a leader by example. Dunn wants vocal leadership out of him. He wants him to communicate more with the young guys. Wallace is a very hard worker, and he's very competitive and gives great effort. But he wants him to also start coaching the young guys just like they coached him. James Washington and Aitman and all those guys coached him. So he's wanting him to now start coaching the young guys. That's the leadership that he's looking for.
What kind of step do you anticipate A.J. Green taking in a senior year?
Well, AJ's a good football player, and he's grown up now. We were just, wasn't a couple years ago we were talking about him just being out there and living in this league at the corner position, being young. I mean, he's now the other guy. And I told AJ in April or May or whenever, I said, you're a really good football player unless you don't think, if you start to think you're better than you really are, then you'll just have an average year. It happens all the time. If you really compete and stay hungry, then you'll have a good year because you're a talented player and you've seen it all in this league. He seems to be doing very well. I think he understands that. It's disappointing when young men start to believe what everybody tells them and then they don't compete. Usually just don't play very well. I don't see that with him right now.
It seemed like Gleason's getting more at home out there so far from what you've seen.
He is. It looks like to me that he's a little further ahead than Mike just from an adjustment standpoint, but I don't know how to judge it. Princeton's a little bit more of a step up than Shippensburg. So I would say that maybe it's a little easier, but he's a pretty outgoing, highly intelligent guy, and he's a great communicator. So I see him kind of fitting in, and he's confident in his abilities. He's going to do what he wants to do. I don't really mess with him. He's a different coach than what some of the other guys I had at that position. He just does things differently, but he has every right to do that. We have to let him do his job. So he seems to be blending in quicker than the last couple of guys.
What is it that he does differently than the Bears?
His technique and drills and the way he coaches the game and coaches the quarterback is different than what Mike was and different than what Dana was and Moncton and on down the line. He just has different things and the ways he teaches and coaches. And ultimately, they're all trying to get the same goals accomplished, but they go about it differently, which is fine.
You had a